Welcome to the TOROSIETE Museum of Contemporary Art. Join me as we take an in-depth look inside of Illuminations and Illusions from Beatrix Ost. In Illuminations and Illusions, a collection of works which date from 1970 to the present, Beatrix Ost presents to the viewer a stern warning about the consequences of our actions upon the world, and that in our relationship with nature, nature is the one in charge. Beatrix Ost is an internationally acclaimed artist, writer, and fashion designer. She has also written screenplays, produced movies in theater, and acted in films and on the stage. When she arrived to New York from Germany as a young adult, she quickly became an art and fashion icon, and has remained an influential and acclaimed luminary in both worlds. Beatrix Ost is no stranger to the curiosities of the human condition. Growing up in World War II-torn Germany, she personally witnessed the destruction caused by arrogance and indifference. In this exhibition, these works warn us with her visions from the past with an increasing urgency to the present, with her thoughts brushed on canvas that our human actions towards nature will and do have its consequences. And yet, true to Beatrix's very blunt and honest style, she too includes herself in sharing the blame for our present condition. Ost endeavors to cast away the indifference, however, reigniting awe in nature and an awareness of just where we are headed. Beatrix Ost shares this lament written for this exhibition. She writes, "If your mind is awakened, you know the struggle we wage against an insidious form of helplessness. You pass a majestic tree, and you want to bow before the transcendent will which embodies itself in his sophisticated DNA, already tested for its compatibility with the cricket's song in his leaves, the squirrel hiding in the armpits of his branches, the fruit he feeds the friendly bear passing by. As a human, you want to bow and assure every species, including our own, that it will be able to continue in its accustomed round. Our children, too. Yes, they should be in school and not fretting about the future. Let me bow also to that river beneath the bridge, to its fish, its plant life. Let me tread carefully into the grasshopper's realm, the snake's kingdom, the bee's airspace. Let me sing the song of seasons, the glory of the rain, the backbone of the frost. Whatever threatens these things threatens the rose of love, but our science threatens them, our science which has made us so rich. We are guilty of desecrating them all at the height of our intellectual triumph. Where are the roses? Our triumphant mind is threatened at its core. We never envisioned the vulnerability we are living today. The idea that it could be too late does not compute, because it forces us out past the ragged edge of silence. My love is threatened. How could this happen? Indifference slunk in undetected beneath the umbrella of the information age. I wear the frock of helplessness. Don't judge my elegance alone. Don't judge the vulnerability of a flower by its beauty. It is there and deeply so. It is a reminder, a cloak to cover the struggle, the sadness. My love is threatened." This exhibition contains recurring symbolism and contrast, images of our excesses and images of nature before and after humans' mass consumption, contrasting bounties with famine, images of nature's adaptation in spite of our destruction, and images of hope and love. Examples of these contrasts are throughout. From Utopia Lost, a glimpse of the plentiful that was once in our ideal world, to Aphrodite's Well, a scene showing a woman holding water, despite there not being water where she lives in this barren landscape, to her portraits of two of her grandchildren in Anything is Possible and I Should Be in School, symbolizing her hope for the future. Now let's explore omnivores' natural history. If one work from this exhibition could sum up Beatrix's message of our bleak future, it's omnivore's natural history. In the foreground, jagged trees appear dead or dying, while fire, falling boulders, and a melting ice glacier fills the background. Looking closely, you notice clear indictments of society expressed through numerous many scenes within the painting. Despite the chaos all around them, the people in this painting are still consumed with only themselves and their own amusements. For example, the woman huddling in the cave at the bottom of the painting. Despite living now in a cave, she clings tightly to her designer bag, and her name, Amira, which means princess, is in hashtag format above her. There is also a woman taking a nude selfie, a jester-like figure playing an instrument, a couple having sex during a picnic, circus performers, and more curious scenes. There are no houses, and Ost herself isn't exempt. The self-portrait in the mobile device at the end of the selfie stick implies her some share of guilt, but her expression conveys unease and worry. She describes herself as, quote, flabbergasted to be there, and uncomprehending that we don't see what is happening around us. She is looking in horror at the scene before us, but admits that, quote, like everyone, I'm also guilty. But hopefully, if we all recognize these indifferences, even within ourselves, there's hope for our future. Now let's take a look at this piece, Nature Politely Declines, Metamorphosis of Order. In Nature Politely Declines, Beatrix has separated this painting into two parts by painting a frame within the work. Inside of the frame, there is a depiction of harmonious nature with exotic birds living as they instinctively know how to do. Things are harmonious without our intervention. The birds are flourishing with full and complete life cycle with their eggs within the trees. We also see that the tree is noticeably painted bright red, showing us a connection to life. Through its vein-like branches, we see a connection with the eggs, which is a symbol of new life, and the interconnection to another vivid, larger red egg shape that resembles a heart, the muscle and energy that keeps life beating through the red vein-like branches. Beneath the gilded painted frame, the tree is now brown, and the vibrant blue sky within the frame becomes muted outside of the frame. A human arm stretched out from beyond the edge of the picture is offering a nest as a form of help to the bird, perhaps as an offering of repentance or surrender by the human. But the bird doesn't want or need our help. It's preoccupied by other things, like picking at a bone, and doesn't need something it can make itself. The gesture is therefore declined. Now let's explore the interpretation of dreams. In the interpretation of dreams, we see a noticeable figure, Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, and author of the famous book of the same name as the title to this piece. Freud at first glance seems to be the subject of the piece, but it is in fact nature that is the subject of this work. As we look closer at this work, his reclined figure, as if he himself was the subject of psychoanalysis, is actually a landscape. A waterfall spills from one of his eyes, pooling into his ear. Is he crying for us? Trees growing on his head, a forest on the lapel of his jacket. The power of nature is clearly stronger than us. As with many of Beatrix's works, there are many scenes in this painting. A mysterious city in the background, a beautiful villa lined with cypress trees, a traveler with a large backpack, a man and his dog, boulders falling on a building into a desolate scene, skulls in a wasteland, a burning smokestack causing pollution with a blind man standing at the base. This work is full of contrast, our environment in both pleasant and unpleasant situations. Will it all be in balance? Is this a representation of harmony? Let's take a look at this piece, The Hunter Haunted. The Hunter Haunted, painted in 1984, appears to be a conventional style portrait depicting a seated man dressed in the traditional tracked wear of a Bavarian gentleman, complete with lederhosen and a janker. All is normal in this image from the neck down, but instead of a human head, his is of a skull and antlers of his usual prey. The gaping eye holes are blank. We don't see the man within. It is not a mask. He has actually become the stag that he used to hunt. His pocket watch chain is adorned with fangs. It's a disturbing image that acts as a potent warning about the consequence of our actions. He has become the hunted. Now he is the one that nature has caught up with. Let's explore this piece, Illuminations and Illusions. In Illuminations and Illusions, the title work in this exhibition on the surface depicts a lovely day at the beach. The sunbathers, 5, almost 6 generations, or life stages of a woman, are unaware and guilt-free. Relaxing, posing, walking, and enjoying illuminating conversations seemingly oblivious to the swirling waters that are about to overtake them. An illusion ingrained in the human mind that climate change does not exist, and our insistence on carrying on with daily life despite of it. We can only wonder if the subjects will eventually notice before it's too late. Going further in the history of this work was originally painted in 1988. In its original form, it was simply a painting of family friends enjoying their beachfront home right on the water. But when Beatrix rediscovered this painting, she decided to change it to reflect how this beachfront paradise has a limited lifespan. The house at the beach has no future. The water will continue to rise, and now, while they, the women, have been sitting for 20 years at the beach, they are now, unbeknownst to them, sitting in the rising water. The beach is no more. The roses of love are swimming around them, and the birds carry away the roses because this is the true illusion. The illusion is what we feel we can always live in a place like this, without nature eventually taking it away. When speaking of this work, Beatrix recounts a story of her ongoing amazement on how we as humans insist on building massive homes right on the beaches and shorelines, knowing full well that every so often a storm will destroy them. A perfect example of our futile attempt at controlling nature. Our actions are only for our convenience, an amusement in the now with no consideration for what tomorrow might bring. Now let's explore the edge of our silence. In the edge of our silence, Beatrix takes themes from Illuminations and Illusions a bit further. In this work, what we appear to see is a group portrait, a snapshot of our society. But despite the chaos around them, the burning building, the rising floodwaters, the grinning wolf, the subjects are much more interested in their own vanity, posing for this portrait, showing their selflessness and their extravagance than the state of the world around them. Explore the entire exhibition of Illuminations and Illusions from Beatrix Ost in the TOROSIETE Museum of Contemporary Art. Visit our museum gallery store to shop for original works, fine art prints, books, and other merchandise from this exhibition.